morning, lunatics, and welcome to another edition of Morning Java. Chris Bradford along with Taylor Haas, and as always, sponsored by GetGo Cafe and Market, where this month I've been eating a lot of subs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Me and Matt Sunday.
Philly cheesesteaks?
No. Let's not mention the P word. Me and Matt Sunday, we went up to Buffalo, not Philadelphia. We went to Buffalo, and we had some chicken wings, of course, up there. But on the ride to Buffalo, we had a lot of GetGo. And
You can get chicken wings there, too. They're pretty good.
yes, we did. Anyhow, convenient segue into something a little more fun. At least some people think it's fun. Some people think they're a bunch of jerks.
Yeah.
The Carolina Hurricanes. That's the team, of course, that the Penguins are in competition for a wild card spot. They have a unique celebration.
Yeah, the storm surge. It's something so fun, but it gets people so angry. Not just the Don Cherries. I know it's easy to write him off like, oh, it's crazy, but
He's old, yeah.
yeah, but like there's a lot of fans that it bothers, and I just don't understand.
I don't get it neither. I mean, I understand it's kind of hokey, and if this was maybe Toronto or Montreal doing this, maybe I'd understand there's some kind of tradition against such things. But this is Carolina.
Well, and when it's not fans that aren't fans of Carolina criticizing it, it's like it's not for you anyway. It's for the Carolina fans, And Gary Bettman, I hate to
Pump his tires.
Well, he actually said something good about it. He was asked about the storm surge, and he said, like, you have to realize that different things work in different markets. Like,
Exactly.
An original six team is not going to do this, so it wouldn't work. And he threw it back to, like, Anaheim's first game when they had, like, I guess, a Wild Wing come down from the rafters. And he's like, that wouldn't have worked in Montreal or Detroit, but it works there. And you look at, Carolina, they can have their own traditions, and the things that Nashville does, or like the country music, that's not going to work elsewhere. And he made a really good point. I hate saying that Gary Bettman said something good, but he's right. It's fun. It gets the Carolina fans into it, which is really all that matters,
Right, and they do it after the game. It's not like they're taunting the opponent while they're on the ice.
No,
it's after a win.
It's after a win. It's not on the road, although they did have their dad's trip, or their mentor's trip, they called it, and their dads were doing it in like the club seats, and that was awesome to see. But really, and you look at their videos of kids getting into it, and like that's really what matters. Like the little kids getting invested, because Carolina, they have like a younger fan base.
A lot of colleges right around there.
Yeah, it's like kind of a newer organization. They have a younger fan base, and even then, you look out into the crowds, it's people of all ages that are getting into it.
I just wonder what they do next. You had the baseball one. I really love the baseball one.
That was great.
Then had Evander Holyfield come out as a prop. That was pretty cool. But how do you top stuff like that?
Well, and the thing is, it's not like they're spending hours after practice rehearsing these things. I think I read, or I saw a picture, like they just kind of diagram it out on a piece of paper, like slap it up in the locker room, and then everyone kind of gets it. It's not like they're wasting time coming up with this, but it's creative, and I like seeing what they choreograph.
Sports are fun, or supposed to be.
Well, welcome to fabulous, I can't say it, John.
The facility formerly called McKechnie Field.
Yeah, it's been sponsored. I guess the naming rights were bought, what is that, 3 years ago, 2 years ago? By Lake Erie Community College. It's called Lakecom Park. We can't do that. It's been McKechnie Field since Pirates were here in 1969.
Exactly. Yeah, and the place itself has been here since 1923.
Which is crazy.
It is.
On this plot of land.
86 years it's been standing here.
Now, in those 86 years, believe it or not, neither of us covered the team the entire time.
No.
But a lot of changes have happened to this place. Just in the last decade. But, going back to when you started, what did this place look like?
Well, ramshackle when I started in 1988 might have been kind. It might have been being nice about the place. The bleachers were falling apart. There was just a small grandstand behind home plate. The field was so bad that I know now nobody takes infield practice anymore, but back in the late 80s, early 90s, it was very commonplace for teams to take infield practice before games. Leland would let his infielders take infield practice here because the field was so bad he was scared somebody was going to get seriously hurt.
Throat,
yes.
Yeah, that's this place has changed a lot. Among many things that you see, the facade, this was after 93, right? This part of the facade. But then they added was it 4 years ago, the boardwalk out in the outfield. It's become a really nice place. It still feels like an old school spring training facility, much more than some of the new wave ones, like that monstrosity the Red Sox built in Fort Myers that looks like a spaceship. This place, when you come to it, it feels like old-time spring ball, doesn't it?
It really does. And I've been fortunate enough to have been to every facility in both Florida and Arizona now. And there's a lot of very nice
I didn't know that. Arizona, too?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's some really nice facilities, but it doesn't have the old-time feel when, if you think of spring training, the little ballpark, close to the action, close to the players, not so corporate despite the name. And it's really the one place left that you feel like, okay, this is what spring training must have been like when, like, the Milwaukee Braves trained here in the 50s.
Absolutely.
Chris, something controversial. Fighting. Let's talk about it. Get all the people riled up. The Penguins have paid the price a few times this season. A couple guys getting injured from fights. Aston Reese, Alexiak. What are your thoughts? Is that something, because it's obviously on its way out of the game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously fighting is way down. Certainly not the 70s or even the 80s.
I mean, do you think it's needed?
I think there's still a place for it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, every time there's a fight in any NHL arena, there's 18,000 people on their feet cheering. So I don't think people are like repulsed by it.
Yeah.
But I think just the way the game is going, the size of the players, it's less of a thing. You know, but hey, I still like it. But I like it when it's not choreographed. I think that's where fighting kind of lost its way when it was stage fighting.
I enjoy fights. I enjoy a good fight if it's a legitimate fight. Stage fights, I think, are so stupid. I mean, you still see a lot of stage fights in the minor leagues. I saw that the Nailers had one recently. Two guys who had never played against each other before. It's their first meeting of the season. They're on complete opposite ends of the ice. The puck drops. No one even moves because they know it's coming, and then, like, they skate to each other from across the ice, and then, like, the fight lasts 20 seconds and they fall down. It's like, that's not doing anything. You're not getting a real spark out of that.
No, you're not.
You're not sticking up for anyone. Like that, I don't think that has, I think that's on its way out, as it should be. But, I mean, guys sticking up for each other, you know, answering the call if they have a bad hit, I mean, I think that does have a...
Yeah, but there are repercussions that can be had. I mean, injuries do happen. Sometimes they do happen in fights. I'm actually surprised they don't happen more often.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at a case like the Zach Aston Reese fight where he's actually hurt. Everybody thought it was his right hand when he punched the guy, and it's actually Colton Sevier. It's when he falls and you know, fell awkwardly on his left hand.
Yeah, and then, I mean, head injuries are a big focus now. One of the former players who's really outspoken about head injuries now is Dan Carcillo.
Yes.
Yeah, and people have asked him what he thinks about fighting. You know, I mean, it's a fair question, and I like what he says. He doesn't think it should be taken out of the game. He just wants the NHL to better educate its players on the consequences, and, you know, really, like, educate them about head injuries and how fighting can lead to that, and then the players can make an educated decision on if they want to drop the gloves. I like his thought process. He's not one for, you know, taking it out of the game completely, but just have players better informed.
Honestly, I don't think I can top anything Daniel Carcillo said.
He's become he endears himself even more with every time he tweets. I agree with everything he says these days.
Endearing and Dan Carcillo, those are some words you never thought we'd hear.
No.